Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar series here with us at Africa Archive. My name is Kelezo Masisi, and I'm the project coordinator here at Africa Archive. And on our webinar series today, we'll be with Jill Klassen, and our topic is going to be democratizing knowledge through Diamond Open Access. So firstly, I'm going to give you a brief background of our speaker today, and then we're going to move on to our presentation. Jill Klassen has worked in academic libraries for over 20 years and is currently a section manager of scholarly communication and research at the University of Cape Town Libraries in South Africa since 2014. She oversees the institutional repository, OpenUCT, as well as 2 open access presses in the library. The One Press implements the library publishing service, which includes publishing open access journals and open access monographs and textbooks. This library publishing service provides skills development to African universities to publish their open access scholarship on the African platform for open scholarship. The second press is the university's press, which publishes monographs only, also on APOS. Jill is currently studying towards a PhD on developing an open platform for APOS, an open access publishing model for the African continent. So Jill will be giving a presentation to us today, and I will give her the platform now. Jill, you can take over.
Thanks so much, Kelezo, and good morning to you all. I hope it's morning and not something else. It's not afternoon or good evening. Kelezo, I'm hoping that you can see my slides in presentation mode.
Yes, we can see your slide now.
Perfect.
Yes.
So you saw when the invitation went out that the focus would be on democratizing Diamond open access or African scholarship through Diamond open access and using the open infrastructure of the African platform for open scholarship. So if you didn't know anything about the platform, today is the day, really. But in order to give a context and background to the platform, I do need to provide a snapshot of what is taking place globally. One is able to look at the slide that you are looking at, and you can see that African scholarship is still lagging far behind in terms of research productivity rate. On the image that you are seeing, Africa is represented by South Africa, and the publication rate in South Africa when this was taken is 0.8%. So you can see that if we look at the block that you see on the left, that the G20 countries still account for 9/10 of researchers, of research spending, as well as publications. And that percentage that you see is just for the G20, but the other countries represented on the slide add to the 90.6%. And so you can see Africa as a continent is really, in terms of the scholarship, is near invisible. So why is this low rate of research productivity so important? We have to realize that we are now 5 years shy of the realization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It is research findings that need to be accessible and disseminated in order to impact sustainable human development, reduce poverty, and facilitate innovation in society. When we look at challenges that our continent faces, specifically around publishing African scholarship, some of the socioeconomic challenges we know already. It's lack of of current research, ICT challenges, exorbitant rate of article processing charges, and the inequalities that exist within a global North-dominated publishing landscape. And if we view the low percentage in terms of what is being indexed in the two main index databases, Web of Science and Scopus, we see that in a 2023 publication, the percentage was still quite low. In Web of Science, it was 7.4%, and in Scopus, it was 7.8%. Some of you know Ina Smith as the Southern African DOAJ ambassador. She provided me the statistic when it came to DOAJ as the directory to index open access journals. So whilst African scholarship has increased and DOAJ's criteria is a lot more inclusive, still DOAJ has 21,000 open access journals, and of those journals, only 696 journals come from this continent. And that statistic is as old as May 2025, so it is very current. And yet, Africa does not only have to navigate socioeconomic challenges, it also has to navigate conscious and unconscious bias. So these biases are there are so many of these biases, and African researchers first need to traverse through these biases before they even get a chance to publish. Some of these biases emanate from editorial decisions that are influenced by factors that are unrelated to the quality of the manuscript. And so when we look at socioeconomic challenges as well as conscious and unconscious bias, a lot of it focuses, when it comes to these unconscious bias, it's the language barrier, or it's the institutional affiliation from our continent. We can see that it hampers diversity, it restricts inclusion, and stymies the advancement of African research voices. It's important that we try and minimize some of these socioeconomic challenges and remove the editorial, peer review, language, and geographic bias to increase the growth of research productivity on the continent. An alternate solution of decommodifying and demonopolizing and democratizing African scholarly content driven by social justice would be using the Diamond Open Access publishing model. The quote that you see in front of you by Kitchen, Mills and Barr in their 2024 blog, they say that for African research to have local and global influence, it requires a focus on what they're calling Afro-structuring. And it's the creation and maintenance of African scholarly publishing infrastructures that derive from and serve the needs of African researchers. Before I do a deep dive in the African platform for open scholarship, I'd like to highlight some of the reflections and takeaways that had taken place in December in the second Global Summit on Diamond Open Access that had taken place in Cape Town. You see that summit provides a context for the need for Diamond Open Access publishing on the continent and for an alternative African-centered and driven publishing platform. I just took a snapshot of the reflections and the takeaways, but if you'd like to see the full summit report, please do go to the website of the summit. It is accessible. I just want to emphasize the takeaway 1, the takeaway 7, and the takeaway 8 for this presentation. So The takeaway from the summit was a strong call for decolonializing research, to focus on amplifying the marginalized voices and challenging colonial biases in academic publishing. When it came to addressing the global inequalities, there was a deep need for the support for local knowledge and journals to promote a more inclusive access. And when it came to infrastructure, it was about building non-commercial, sustainable publishing infrastructure for the continent in order that we can have knowledge that is grounded in equity and social justice. So as we go and focus on the African platform for open scholarship, it is important to note that this open infrastructure, because it's open source, it consists of PKP's two publishing platforms, the Open Journal System and Open Monograph Place. And it is available to any and every African institute or research council as well. Each institution has the privilege and they are able to have the unique branding. They are able to have the institutional colors, and I'll show that to you, identifiable logos where they can have pride and have a sense of prestige that it's scholarship coming from their own institution. It is a multi-tenant model that allows for it's hosted. It's one instance that has many tenants, all on the same infrastructure. I had said that the platform allows for the uniqueness of each institution, and I'm hoping you can pick that up by looking at the logos and the color branding, etc., of institutions and organizations from the continent. And so on the platform, there are currently 11 institutions with 25 journals, and it consists of just under 3,500 articles that have been published thus far. So to showcase and show the diversity, inclusion, and equitable access when it comes to African scholarship, I'm going to use an exemplar from the University of Cape Town. It's the two presses that I think Caletso had mentioned. It's the UCT Press, UCT Libraries Press, as well as the UCT Press. And so when it comes to UCT Press, it uses the library as publisher service, and this press has 8 journals on it, of which 2 are already on the DOAJ, and one of the 2 is being considered for Scopus evaluation. There's a 3rd journal that we're just about to press submit for their application to be considered in the DOAJ. UCT Libraries Press has 29 monographs and textbooks, and the second press, which is UCT Press, is the Universities Press, and it has 64 titles which have been disseminated publicly. Academic rigor is upheld by both presses on APOS, with UCT Libraries Press focusing more on textbooks and conference proceedings, with innovative solutions to ensure equitable access for knowledge, with a lot of the design and layout being done in-house. And UCT Press focuses only on open monographs. So focusing on UCT Libraries Press, we know that the continent has IT challenges compared to the rest of the world. And it's for that reason that different content file formats are available, whether they are audio clips or video clips. And it means that it can be downloaded and viewed when there is no internet connection. On the other hand, we know that smartphones are on the increase on our continent. It's more than 76% of Africans have smartphones. And it's for that purpose that UCT Libraries Press have their scholarship that's available in HTML as well as e-format, so it can be easily viewed on mobile devices. There are additional equitable access features such as text-to-speech capabilities, as well as implementation of accessible formats. One of the African platform journals is bent on not having peer review in the traditional sense. Their focus is on biodiversity, and they create opportunities for scientists and citizen science to publish on this niche area. The way these papers are reviewed is with the editorial committee that take pride in their content specialization, and they have a high academic standard when it comes to reviewing papers. In a 2023 publication that they had written on the journey of their journal, because their journal has been around for a long time. They focused on the fact that this journal had published 389 papers since 2010 with 421 citations. As indicated when it came to the difference with the two presses, UCT Libraries Press provision for innovative opportunities to publish multilingualism through different publication in order to mainstream this kind of research. There is a Sesotho drama book for high school learners, as well as a journal that has been published in French. In August of this year, UCT Libraries will be publishing a collection of essays from one of the conferences from the summit. And this collection of essays, which focuses on advancing social justice through curriculum realignment, will be published in Spanish, Portuguese, English, as well as Setswana, which is a local language in a few African countries. When it comes to decolonializing scholarly communication, I'd like to highlight one textbook in particular that is published by UCT Libraries Press on the platform. I have showcased a social media post that had gone out, as well as an announcement that this publication since 2021, this textbook has reached a milestone of more than 250,000 downloads. I recollect the day very clearly when the senior author, Professor Lapperman, came to the libraries, and he was extremely frustrated because his students who he teaches and felt strongly about the content, these students were not, they couldn't grasp the local context when it came to marketing and consumer studies. And so what this author decided to do was he was going to write a textbook with other experts in the academic community, professionals, and students across the continent, across the country, because really it was written for South African consumers. Because this senior author was frustrated with the way the students could not relate to global north trends when it came to market in consumer studies. And this professor really thought that it would only be reached, this textbook would only be reached within our country, because of course it says marketing to South African consumers. And yet through the downloads, we are able to see that this textbook has been reached by more than 140 countries around the world. And I love the quote at the bottom. I hope you can read it with me. When the announcement had been made around this milestone event of 250,000 downloads, Professor Lapperman says, and the joy it brings to have a class full of students, knowing that none of them will be without the textbook, is a great feeling. And so I also spoke about the second press that is within the library. It is the university's press called UCT. It's a different kind of press in that the publishing criteria adheres to the South African legislative mandate, which results in the university earnings of research subsidy from national government. Just to provide a very brief background to this second press, UCT Press, the commercial company had decided that they would give this press back to the university because it was not making a profit. And they were really running at a loss. So they decided in 2020 that they were going to give the imprint back and make the 154 books that had been published by the press over the many years, they were going to give it back to the university. And so what the library decided to do was, with the permission of the authors, make the publications open access. So for those of you who know how academic scholarly publishing, the print run works, we are told that it's about 300 copies that form part of a print run when it comes to scholarly books. And so it really was because none of the books were selling even 300 copies. And yet when we made the publications available open access, you can see the statistics that you see in front of you when it comes to total. So Raju and Maharaj took random publications and really did a 12-month overview of what had been downloaded of the publications, and they could see that many of the publications that far exceeded the 300 download even. And we can see that these books now have a global reach because it is available open access. And we see that, all these 64 titles, they are part of the directory of open access books. When it comes to capacity building for the platform, it is important for me to mention and emphasize that UCT Libraries plays a pivotal role in capacity building, in training each institution, as well as engaging with the editorial teams who want to publish on the platform. The training includes building blocks of DOAJ criteria, Scopus, as well as the Committee on Publication Ethics. It includes knowledge about Creative Commons license, where we can focus on knowledge, on African knowledge that can be allowed to be shared and reused and built on. The expertise of UCT Libraries when it comes to capacity building capture the spirit of the African philosophy of Ubuntu, which freely benefits the entire continent, wanting to leave no one behind. As a domino effect, many of the African academic libraries who have come through the training, because our model is one of train the trainer, they then focus on transforming their institution and they provide training to the academic community. We know that the University of Namibia Chinhoyi University of Technology, as well as Namibia University of Science and Technology have a training program on publishing open for their institution. And the Namibian University of Science and Technology have guidelines that needed to be passed by their Senate first. And really it was buy-in from the Senate. And because they have the buy-in, they now are able to use these guidelines, which incorporates the guidelines to establish a journal that is part of the training. They use these guidelines to take the academics through being able to publish on the platform. Other ways that the platform focuses on when it comes to collaboration would be the Association of African Universities. They had endorsed the platform, encouraging more universities to publish their content through Diamond Open Access. And there are immediate plans to move the platform to a more neutral hosting space with one of the regional RENs and to collaborate with other Global South open publishing infrastructures. This will further increase the visibility and discoverability of knowledge from the region. There will be a governance structure around APOS, as well as a structured advocacy program that will include buy-in from the leadership of African universities. So if I summarize what the entities or pillars of the African Platform for Open Scholarship, it's not just the fact that it uses open source software. It's not just about the open infrastructure. The fact is that it is a shared platform. It has minimized the IT challenges that is prevalent on the continent. It focuses on centralized maintenance. Currently, it's on one instance. And so when the upgrades, hosting, maintenance takes place, it's for everybody, for all the tenants or African institutions. Because we are using the PKP software, we know that it is sustainable and cost effective. And because it's being hosted locally, there is enhanced security. And really, as I've just mentioned, mostly technical features around APOS. It's important to state that these are the foundation to strengthen and support African platform with the underpinning of social justice principles. So in my presentation, I focus on the open infrastructure of APOS. And I paused and provided a context to the presentation by highlighting the takeaways of the Diamond Open Access Global Summit that had taken place in December last year in Cape Town. I want to focus on a declaration that had emanated from the summit and provide you with an opportunity as the audience, if you would like, and you are welcome to, again, go to the summit's website to read the declaration. And if you believe in these intentional long-term commitments, then please do sign the declaration. I want to end my presentation with a call of action. I don't want to conclude it, because really we need to know that as an audience, all of this is applicable to us. Whether we are African researchers, African editors, librarians, ICT specialists, or even funding agencies, we have to decide that we have a role to play to advance equitable access and disseminate African knowledge. Our role should be centered on adopting and expanding Diamond Open Access Publishing and Platform for Open Scholarship Infrastructure, which is an alternate transformative publishing model. It will take all of us collaboratively in our different roles to shoulder the responsibility of driving and growing Diamond Open Access on the continent. And really it's for the reason, if you look at the image, you will see puzzle pieces. And as we know, puzzle pieces they are not the same. They all have a role. They need to be interconnected in order to have one big picture. So my call to action for the African researchers, I want to ask you to consider to choose to increase African knowledge production by publishing on topics of local research areas of interest. Choose to disseminate your work with a CC BY license so that there is democratization of African scholarly content, which can be reused and built on for an increased scholarly landscape. To the librarians in the room, Lorcan Dempsey refers to having an inside-out collection development strategy. And one of the ways one can do that is through a library publishing service. And it's through the service that you can grow local knowledge for access to relevant collections. It's this local knowledge that can be published on APOS. And through African librarians, I want to ask you to choose to develop and sustain communities of practice when you do have a matured library publishing service at your institution. Collaborate with other libraries, share your knowledge. Do not keep your skills to yourself. Really bring others along with you. To the African editors and peer reviewers in the room, choose to grow and develop the next generation of African researchers. Choose to be more inclusive with their research voices in African publications. When you review or look at a manuscript from the continent, try to enhance the manuscript and strengthen it rather than be punitive and want to show an African author how much knowledge you have. Of course, you have far more knowledge when it comes to the content specialization, but through your feedback, can it be one of upbuilding, empowering African researchers? So let us all contribute and play our part to grow African scholarship through Diamond Open Access by publishing on open infrastructure such as the African Platform for Open Scholarship. Our distinct roles are critical and crucial for interdependentness, and I ask you to look at the puzzle pieces specifically in front of you, because really it's through our collective contribution that we can increase the rate of region-specific research productivity to bring more balance to the global knowledge economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill, for such a very enlightening presentation. I'm sure that our audience have really gained a lot from that. I really liked how you put a spotlight on African research and also put a spotlight on sustainable development goals and how our work actually fits into that. So that's very important to note. So at this particular point, I'm going to take some questions. So if you have any questions, it'll be great if you could drop them in the chat and Jill can answer them. So Jill, I think we have one. It was from Lillian. So she was basically talking about multilingualism that you explained, and her question was, do we have representation of all the South African languages? So that was her question. So that's, you could address that while we prepare for other questions.
Sure, sure. I just want to let yourself and the audience know that if Dr. Reggie Raju, who is also in the room, he may contribute in any way. So if he
Exactly.
would like, so I'm just letting the audience know as well. Uh,
Yes.
the it's, there's the principle to publish local languages. So if there's scholarship that is available or is available for to be published, then we are open to that. There are Yeah, we're looking at plans, and I think a lot of the plans are wanting to see if we can leverage technology when it comes to translation. Because it's not just so much that we need to. It would be good if we had it in one language, but it would be great if it was available in more than one language. And I think the one publication that is going to come out in the next few weeks is going to be that collection of essays that'll have it'll have four languages, which will be a lot more accessible.
Great. And I actually had you mentioning one language that I also speak fluently, Setswana, that's going to be included. So that was
That's great.
interesting. Yes. We also have another question. So that's from Susan. So her question is, what was the decision-making process by the UCT training to include scope as inclusion criteria? Given given that,
Ah.
yes. So if you could just address that as well.
That's an excellent question because we know about the bias, right? Or the limitation. So it would be the building blocks of these indexing services. So I mentioned DRAJ, and so when it comes to diversification of the editorial boards, for example, when we do training and the colleagues are in the room who they do the training, the scholarly communication and publishing librarians. Um, the geographic representation is spoken about, so that would be a building block that is important for Scopus, for example. It's when it comes to research integrity and research ethics. Again, we focus on aspects of how that can be dealt with if a journal does want to go the route of being considered in Scopus. All African journals don't want to even be part of Scopus, and that's fine, but we provide aspects of the building blocks for them to grow and get to the point of then considering whether they want to be part of Scopus or not.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. I don't know if we have anybody who in the audience who would like to ask questions again from the floor.
We have Ina raising her hand. Wait, let me allow her to speak.
Jo, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thanks,
Hi,
Jill.
Ina.
Great speaking to you, and thanks for the work you're doing in terms of APOS. I think it's tremendous, especially as a stepping stone to get journals online towards greater visibility and impact for African research. I have put in the comments in my capacity as DRH Ambassador for Africa that in 2022, we've started with 268 journal titles on DOAJ. We've multiplied it, threefold, and it's now currently 696, so almost 400 more over the past 13 years. And we're constantly working on evaluating journals to see that it adheres to the DOAJ's criteria, as you indicated, very inclusive. So that's just one remark. The second remark, then a question. I would like to know, what are the plans in terms of APOS? Will it remain with UCT under the banner of UCT for the unforeseeable future? Or what are the plans? And then in the third instance, I would like to ask, as I've mentioned, I see it as a great stepping stone, but isn't hosting the journal on a platform within the country of origin um, important for that country to contribute to the sovereignty of the country's scholarly infrastructure and reducing the dependence on other countries? And also, doesn't it ensure compliance with national laws and ethical guidelines, institutional frameworks that govern research and publishing in that specific African country, as opposed to having a continental platform? So, just for my own curiosity and my own lack of understanding. Thank you so much, Jill.
I touched on the immediate plans of the open infrastructure. I said that there are immediate plans for the hosting to move. So yes, it's locally hosted at the University of Cape Town, but there are immediate plans for to move to one of the regional REINs. I think that, coupled with the advocacy that will be taking place with the university leadership on the continent, where buy-in will be sought to publish, I think there will be an accelerated amount of institutions coming onto the platform. I think it really is a misnomer, but the more I'm part of UCT and the platform, I realize that because it's hosted locally at an institution, whilst it uses the tenant model, all the institutions have their own branding. There's still I don't know if it's there is something that prevents universities from coming on board. And so to prevent the big brother, especially because we're in South Africa, prevent the big brother syndrome, there is definitely the immediate move to for the platform to be hosted by one of the RNs. I'm going to ask Reggie to come in. I'm hoping you're going to help me with the second part. Reggie, thanks.
Which okay, let me just add to what you've just indicated. The issue is basically creating a backbone for any institution to adopt the platform. So I think when we talk about sovereignty, when we talk about autonomy, all of those issues will be dependent on the participating institution. So it's only the backbone that serves as a common place. So, so depending on which institutions participate and what are the governance structures will be dependent on that particular institution, and how legislation affects them would influence their participation on the platform. Yeah. Which question you wanted me to look at, Joe?
That one, Reggie, that was the second part of Ina's questions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Reggie. Thank you so much, Jill, for that. We also have another question from the chat. It's from Stephanie. So she wanted you to say something about the level of investment from UCT or UCT libraries in APOS, and how replicable is this everywhere else in the continent, given the resource gaps. So she just wanted you to speak to that.
Okay. Luigi, do you want to come in here?
Yeah, I think colleagues, we are librarians, okay? So we're looking at very much through the lens of we are looking at very much through the lens of a library. And our core responsibility as librarians is to make information accessible to our user population. So what UCT has done here is looking at the possibility of librarians reinventing themselves. We have grown up with the whole concept of collection development. But at this point in time, are we developing collections, or are we linking the users to content? So we're improving accessibility. So I think this is a much broader discussion about Diamond Open Access. It's about converting collection development into the broad concept of scholarly communication. It's re-looking at what is the role of the library. So currently, we collect, as Jill said, and this is what locum density alludes to, is the fact that we're currently collecting from the outside through the subscriptions and making that accessible to our user community. But that content is developed on the inside. So why are we paying more than once for something that we've already developed? So in terms of what Locke Dempsey is saying, is that we need now as librarians to collect that which is produced inside and have that shared with the rest of the world.
Thanks, Reggie.
Thank you so much, Reggie. I don't think we have any more questions on the chat. I think we have maybe one. We have time for one more question. If there's any from the audience, we could take that. If there isn't,
Okay, let's check the session notes.
Okay, great.
I see Louise is asking a question
Yes.
around publication costs or publication fees.
Great. If you could address that, yes.
Louisa, your question is now, of course, went up the chat. So yes, you are right. It would be journals that publish Diamond Open Access. So, it's free to the reader and at no cost to the author, because of the exorbitant publication fees of publishing gold open access. That is one big hindrance that prevents Africans from publishing open. So we take the cost of publishing and we actually decommercialize. We take that decommercialization away from publishing scholarly content, and we focus on the actual content to make that available freely. So I don't know if there's any other parts, because I didn't get your full question because it has gone up the chat.
Think you're able to address that?
Okay.
Yes. All right. So I think for the sake of time, thank you very much.
Wait. Hang on. We have 10 minutes more. Okay, let's please go to the document for preparation and then the tab on session notes. And also we have Jama Muse. I'll allow you to speak now, so maybe wait. So then you can ask your question. Sorry, it's a bit confusing with all the windows here and there. Thank you, Kelitso. But there's 3 more questions we have piled up.
Okay, great.
And now Gemma.
So Gemma.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, and I think this timely conversation that you have organized. My question sort of flows, I think didn't get the answer at least I was looking for, which means how, if it already happened, or what proposal that you have in order that African institutions and other African governments put some money on these things. Because as long as we are sort of looking for inclusion, but we are stepping back the gatekeepers and asking a favor, sort of, we will not go far. So in my opinion, we have to find a way that we get some resources coming from within the global south that go into this mission. Otherwise, we will not go far, in my opinion. So if this experience had got some financial direct coming from our institutions, from your institutions, how it was big, how it happened, and how we can sort of replicate, as Stephanie was saying as well, how we can push for our institutions from the global south to put resources directly for these kind of activities in order to get the real inclusion. Otherwise, we will be always guests or people who are hosted. Thank you.
So, Dr. Jama, I used to think that we needed to wait for government. We needed to wait for government policies. We needed to wait for institutions to change their promotion criteria. And yes, that does play a role. Of course, if there are government policies in place, if part of the ad hominem or promotion criteria is to publish local and you get promoted for it and recognized, of course, that's what you're going to do as a researcher. But part of my own studies, when it comes to role players of an open access publishing model, the preliminary findings have found that it can't just be governments and funding agencies that are the drivers when it comes to having an African publishing model. It should be all of us. And yes, it may mean that we would initially be moving incrementally, but we do know, for example, that in July there is the AAU conference. And at that conference, where VCs and DVCs gather from the continent, there will be a presentation around having an inclusive diamond open access publishing model for the continent. And so there will be advocacy for buy-in from these VCs and DVCs, from our VCs and DVCs who attend. And then further to that, of course, the governments definitely are discussing how can they see an impact to the research. So there are some governments in South Africa. I know there's discussion around how can open access be the default model, or at least make an impact when it comes to promotion criteria. So there are discussions taking place. There will be advocacy programs when it comes to executive management of universities. But I want to go back to my last slide, sir, and say that I don't think we can continue to wait for a bigger drive. We do have a role to play, and that role can start now, in my view, because it is going to take all of us to drive African knowledge.
Thank you very much, Jill.
If you don't agree with me, I am all fine with that, sir. if you want to wait for government first.
Thank you very much, Jill. We have another question. Sorry, we have more. So it's a very interesting topic. So we have more interactions. So there's another question. It's from a librarian who met an African researcher and who intends to publish an accounting textbook and a science textbook. His intention is to simplify these subjects for the grad students. The question is, how can the UCT libraries assist this researcher through UCT Press? So they're working on textbooks. So what is the way that they could simplify these for their students?
So the multi-tenant model that had been alluded to for APOS is used both for open journal systems as well as for open monograph press. And so it currently we have the Chinhoyi University of Technology in Zimbabwe. They have an instance of open monograph press, and they will be publishing themselves. So my response to that librarian is have a discussion with the university librarian. We can have discussions if that institution wants to come on board, and we can then train the library, help them with capacity building when it comes to academic publishing, specifically monographs and textbooks. We have done, the UCT Libraries team has done that with Chinhoyi University of Technology, and we'll see their fruit this year already. And so it's open to anyone else, any other university.
Okay, great. So we have, I think, 3 minutes, so we could take another question. We have some from our notes, as Joe said. So what are the opportunities for collaboration from APOS and other open science initiatives in Africa and globally? If you could address
That's a
that
great
for
question.
audience. Yes, who would want to collaborate?
So there are key principles or guiding principles when it comes to this open infrastructure of APOS. It's not just about the technology. It really is driven by social justice principles. The model would be diamond open access. Institutions need to be able to take charge and own their own scholarship, ensure that academic rigor takes place for their scholarship. So if there are aligning principles, then of course there can be collaboration, and definitely integration as well. There are plans in place for us to be part of Redelic, for us to be integrated with Latin America's open publishing platform, again to enhance African scholarship.
All right. Thank you very much, Jill. I'm looking at our time now, so for the sake of time, we can continue this conversation further on. And just to remind our audience that there's going to be a recorded session, and the recorded session is going to be on our YouTube. And just to thank everybody for participating, asking the questions. It was a very insightful presentation. Thank you very much, Jill. Thank you very much, Reggie. And just to conclude and remind those who don't know who we are Africa Archive, and we host this webinar series, and there's more to come. And we have other recordings of other sessions as well. We are a repository that focuses on supporting African research and research about Africa and supporting African researchers. So you could publish your preprints, your database, any research that you're doing that is about and done by African researchers, you can publish it on our platform. So thank you everybody for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in our other webinars where you can register. You can see the information from our website as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Calypso.
You're welcome.